how can it be completely improvised and everybody's looking at each other and yet, we all start and we all finish? How the hell does that work?
Well, there's not one way it works. It depends on the song, depends on what you're going for. I mean, there's some jazz where there is no structure and you're really just undulating together. And I love that stuff as much as I love playing standards and bebop where there's more of a set structure.
And when you're in that moment and you're improvising, what's predetermined and what's not, and how do you know how long to go? Do you just go and then feel it, or what? How do the cues work?
Oh, good question. How do the cues work? Well, they don't. There's not really a set way. There is a language. There is definitely a language of jazz, and we all learn that, and we build on that, and we reference it from time to time, and that's kind of how we check in with each other and say, okay, I'm going here now, or I'm about to end my solo here, or I'm okay, go here, or not go here, but okay, I'm gonna go here, and you can either go with me or you can go against me, and either way is cool because it is democratic music. It's democracy in action, which is a beautiful thing. It's really interesting that almost the system of checks and balances, if you will. Yes, I play the melody, but I mean, the bass and drums, they do a lot of other things that are, just as important, and they can totally, I can override them in some ways and they can override me in some ways, and it's, that's not the goal of any of this, but we do that to challenge each other and push each other and, make the magic happen.
So internally, if they go someplace you're not expecting, do you just give, or is it more of like a little panic and jump across, or what's the kind of swing of emotions that are going on there?
It really depends on the moment. Sometimes I'll go with them. Sometimes I'll say, oh wow, that's a great idea. Let's go there. Let's do it. Sometimes I might just wait and then let it settle a little bit and then come back in. Sometimes I will deliberately go against what they did, just to almost like saying haha, or almost like saying no, or screw you or whatever, we're doing this, but it all depends. It's never, even though in this case with this project I'm the band leader, it's not the Mike Casey show. This is definitely something where we're all contributing in a huge way to what's actually happening in the moment.
And what's going through your head when you're building something and it's turning into a thing, you can feel it, it's happening and we're going there. What is that like?
It feels like flying. Yeah, it feels like flying, and in a certain sense too, you almost become unconscious, and you're both aware and unaware of what's happening. It's almost like you're not in the moment, but instead you're like suspended above yourself, watching what's happening, and you have no control over what's happening. It's just happening, and the music is just flowing through you.
So it's like a lot of people talk about being present in acting. I would imagine it's got to be similar in that you get to that point where you've worked through your foundation, your scales, and your theory, and your ability to think on the fly, and where logically you want to go, to the point where if you're present enough, it's just an emotional leap, and kind of everything just happens for you. Is that kind of the is it related all to? You hear a lot of interviews with actors, and they'll talk about, well, you learn the lines to get the lines in, but then when you actually go to do the scene, you got to make it seem like it's the first time it's ever happened. Now, in your case, it actually is the first time that it's happening.
It's true, yeah.
Right, but I mean, do you see what I'm getting at? It's a presence thing that I don't know. Billy McLaughlin at one point said it felt like floating. So this is not a new experience for me to hear a musician talking about it. I was just wondering, if you can even articulate what it means to be present.
Great question. That's really hard to answer. That's actually a great question. I would say, well, I should begin by clarifying something I said earlier. At its highest level, I think no one's really thinking per se, and they're present, but it's like that thing where you're just watching it happen. And that's the flow state, the mental flow state. That's at the highest level. I think, any song where it gets to that point, or any set or any concert where it gets to that point, everyone starts with being very aware. Awareness is key. And then once everyone's aware of each other and we're aware of ourselves and what we're doing, then our minds start to relax a little bit, and then we can transcend to the next level. Some nights it doesn't get there. Some nights it does. But either way, it always starts with presence and awareness.
Do you, I mean, how often does this happen where you're in a moment, things are going down, you're trying to get to that top state, but your frontal lobe is doing the work, and you're like, okay, he's doing this and he's doing this, so I'm going to go here. And that gets you to some place, like the front of your brain. And you're like, okay, the goal is the back of the brain, right?
Yeah,
and you're doing this mystical thing. But what's it like on the front when you're like, okay, 2 + 2 = 4, and you nail it, and you nail it? I mean, what's that experience like?
It feels great. I mean, it feels good, and sometimes that can definitely help you make the leap, to the next level of things. And it could be as simple as, oh, Corey decided to just drop out there completely, or maybe Corey has already dropped out. No, he's getting ready to come back in, and the way he comes back in is in a way different than what I was expecting, and that's now pushing everybody to the next level. Or maybe Matt, I'm playing something and I hear Matt play some bass notes that go directly against what I'm doing, but it's in such a way that the tension that's created is like so badass, and you're just like, oh, I can't wait for the resolution, because the resolution is going to be huge. It's going to be a huge release. It's a huge tension and a huge release. So moments like that, those are the ones that you feel and that can energize you,
So it seems like there are almost two mental states going on, where you can have more of a Vulcan approach and get off on that, or you can have this mystical approach, that you're striving to get to, and get off that way. Like, I don't know, can you speak on any level about, like, is one more satisfying than the other? Wow. Is because there's a satisfaction in, like, intellectually saying, I'm going to G, not the key, but and then they go, oh, he's on G, I'm gonna hit H.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta believe, sure, the mystical stuff is fantastic when that happens and you're striving to get there, but there's gotta be a certain mental satisfaction of, like, I'm telling you, he's going here.
Yeah,
and you're intellectually present, and you make a moment.
Yeah, both of them are, I want to say, they're different. It's hard to say. I think, my reaction to the more intellectual one is I'll just grin. I have this little grin that you might see. We're like, okay, I hear what you're doing, and okay, I'm with you. Boom, we got it. But then the other one where we just kind of transcend, that is, if I had to really pick, I'd say that one. But they both feel great. The aftermath of them are different too. In the one where I'm more present and less, I haven't transcended or whatever. I'm still, like, extremely aware and very present, and my brain hasn't necessarily all relaxed all the way yet. So I'm able to almost. I'm able to recover, Sometimes I notice when we get to that place in the music and then the song ends, it's like waking up, and then it's like, oh shoot, I have to now talk to the audience. I have to, like, actually use my words after just very deeply and emotionally and intensely speaking with my horn. Oh no, like, let me just get a second before I get on the mic here. Like, that happens all the time, and it's literally like waking up from a very deep sleep sometimes.